So I got a question for you. Would you want every transaction that you make to be instantly reported to the IRS?
No.
I'm talking. Hold on. Maybe you'll be encouraged by this.
Okay.
So every transaction you make reported to the IRS. So I'm talking about a restaurant meal. A restaurant meal. Your when you go get your pineapple pizza.
My 3 margarita lunch.
Your 3 margarita lunch. When you go get your Taco Bell. When you make a PayPal transaction. When you go to the nail salon and get your nails did. Would you mind that all of that gets reported to the IRS?
I mean, it already does, just not instantly.
In a way.
Because at the end, like if you buy a bunch of stuff through PayPal or whatever, like you get your little, what is it, K form or whatever the form is they get you at the end of the year or whatever for all the purchases you make. That goes, the IRS has all that stuff too, right?
They don't know all of your transactions. They don't know all of your transactions. I mean,
well, not transactions, but if you use like if you're like making money through a certain thing, like if I'm using FreshBooks has to report it. So then they send me a 1099 or whatever the heck it is they send at the end of the year. They also send that to the IRS when they file their taxes, correct? So it's not like
your overall profits. Like they're not sending every transaction.
Gotcha. So they're wanting to track individual transactions.
Exactly. So imagine living in a world where all of your non-cash transactions, a restaurant meal, a Venmo transfer, maybe you bought some Bitcoin the past week during these dips, all of it was automatically reported to the IRS, who's audit hungry already, we know. And they've hired thousands of additional people at the IRS, right?
I mean, I trust the government, so yeah, I guess I'd be all right with that. It's not like they're going to do anything nefarious with that information, right?
Well, President Biden, along with Elizabeth Warren and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, are all pushing for this very intrusive, I'll call it financial surveillance system, in the name of closing this tax gap. I mean, what they're pointing...
So they're going to after the wealthy then, is what you're saying?
No. Now, you would think that that's what they would be going after, right? That they would be going after the wealthy, because God knows, how many billionaires aren't paying their fair share in taxes, right? I mean, we already know that the top 1% are evading $163 billion a year in taxes, but, Republicans and Democrats have voted against this, basically. But right now, the White House is has proposed investing $80 billion in a new tax collection agency over the 10 years to hire more enforcement staff, overhaul its technology, and usher in new information reporting requirements that would give the government greater insight into tax evasion schemes. We knew this was coming. They've already moved more digitally anyway.
So rather than going after the billionaires who actually do take advantage of the tax system, they're going to put things in place to make it so that not only will they know every transaction, because then if they know every transaction, they are going to know our income. So if you start to have any kind of savings, they're going to be like, we need to go after this person. We cannot have people in America saving money. Like, they already don't like when we save money. They don't like us to have any money. So now they're going to know everything that we're buying, everything that we're selling amongst each other. And this could go over to crypto and stuff too. Like how?
Yeah, they would know it all.
Come on, man.
Hey, you want me to get on board with this, Joe? I'm sorry, but this is creepy.
No.
I mean, think about this. Republicans and business lobbyists who argue the IRS can't be trusted with more power say that these proposals are an invasion of privacy. Democrats are counting on raising money by collecting more unpaid taxes to help pay for the $3.5 trillion spending package, right? So they're kind of they're trying to couch this as we're going to go after wealthy people. But wealthy people don't make, I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say this. Wealthy people aren't doing those sort of day-to-day transactions like that, right? It's funny. People end up buying and gifting things to wealthy people all day long. It's going to hurt the little person. It's going to hurt us, frankly.
It always does. That's all this is about. This is about, they're like, you know what? Do you know how much money we're missing from the little guy? Like that, like there's no push to get the billionaires. Like nothing will fundamentally change. Like Biden said, they're not going to fundamentally change how these guys have all these loopholes and the people that are coming to their parties and giving them, super PAC money and all this other stuff. No, they're going to be like, we could nickel and dime the American people and probably get enough to pay for at least our furniture budgets. So let's do that.
But do you think for a second, I mean, they're going to start really looking at the wealthy people?
No.
You have the Treasury Department making the case that narrowing the tax gap is part of Biden's administration's ambition to create a more equitable economy, as audits and enforcement actions will be aimed at the rich. Sure. Because that never, that always works. And what we know disproportionately is that audits actually look at middle class and low income Americans disproportionately. And also in this country, oddly, people of color. Why? So you're concerned with somehow someone misplaced the $10 from this column and did it wrong. $10. Let's audit that person. Instead of the billions that they're not paying on Wall Street. Now, let's go after the person that misappropriated $10 and got it wrong, failed to report this $10 they got from a babysitting job.
And imagine what it costs for them to every audit that they do of every little person. The money that we spend to audit that person that tried to, that missed $10.
And now it'll be super easy, right? Because now what they'll do is they'll get access to credit card data. They'll get access to PayPal data. They'll make it a law. Okay, so that every PayPal transaction, every Venmo transaction, etc., will be cataloged by the IRS. They'll know exactly what you're spending money on. They'll know exactly where you're going. And you don't think that they'll use this for nefarious reasons? I mean, really?
Come on, man.
I know you will. I know you will use it for nefarious reasons because I don't trust the government. Look at the NSA. I mean, look what Edward Snowden told us about. And now he's a criminal. He tells us that our government is snooping on our phone conversations. Innocent Americans. Like you believe that the IRS will use this data for good. And by the way, the government gets hacked on a regular basis. So even the government having access to this data, what about hackers get access to this data? They can know all of the what we're buying when I go to the pharmacy. They can know everything that I'm buying, every transaction that I make. They can know that I'm stocking up on pineapple for my pizza, and people can mock me for putting pineapple on a pizza.
Nothing makes sense.
Exactly, Judge. Pineapple on pizza?
Nothing makes sense.
Exactly.
I don't wear a toupee.
So there's your financial control coming to the United States. Biden's total financial control, couched as as a way of going after rich people. Imagine living in a world where everything is watched. Write to your government. Call your representatives. Tell them to vote against this. Tell them to make sure that this is not and by the way, they'll shoehorn this in some sort of reconciliation package. Like they'll sneak this $80 billion in there, and no one will have no recourse. It'll just be snuck in there. We have nothing to do about it. There's nothing we can do. It'll just be passed, and President Biden will sign it. Awful.
But still hasn't gotten out the additional $600 he owes us.
Right, but Linda in the chat brought up a good point a few minutes ago. Said it's interesting how apparently they don't know what we spend our money on. Yet when they sent out the stimulus bills, stimulus checks, boy, they happen to know that we spent a lot of it at the stores and what we were spending it on to label it a success.
Yeah, they knew so much. Like, look, so you think that the IRS isn't going to use that for nefarious things, but look, the first stimulus, they used that to track how many people were saving. And so now every time they propose stimulus again, there's all of these regulations and stipulations and stuff because they don't want you doing that. They don't want you to have any money to save. So You think they're not going to use that kind of information at the IRS to be like, well, this person's doing this. We need to, do this or whatever. Like they use that information against us already once, and they're not even doing it at the IRS level yet.
Right. Yeah. Although Rumple Gold in our chat says, so question, if they monitor everything I spend on, well, maybe they'll give me more to enable me to keep up. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Rumple is, he's buying a lot of video games lately. So
the IRS, a financial force for good.
We need to make sure that Rumple can continue to buy PlayStation 5 games. And he's been buying a lot of pineapple for his pizza lately.
Yeah.
Oh, Rumple, yeah, sorry. Rumple sounds like a guy. That's why I think,
No, I thought that for the longest time, too. Because of Rumpelstiltskin.
Lioness says, I need a shirt that says nothing makes sense. I do. That would be great. I don't know if Judge would allow me to do it.
Nothing makes sense.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.